Dexter, are you feeling good?
I'm feeling great.
All right, cool. So hang on, I forgot. I've got to scroll back actually. Let me do this again. I'm going to do my intro. Saturday night music. And then we're in.
The drums are like ba-bum. It's great. Yeah,
it's a bit like boo.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
Exactly, but I wanted that Seinfeld vibe. You know, one time I am going to learn slap bass just so I can do slap bass.
Yeah.
Apparently, every single bit of Seinfeld is a different bit of slap bass.
Is it?
Yeah, he never reused. Oh. They never reused it.
That guy's thumb must be just like worn down to the bone. Can you imagine?
Exactly. It probably looks like an aubergine.
Yeah, just some guy in a recording studio by himself, just slapping a bass like over and over.
I've commissioned for another season. No, my bass can't take it.
22 episodes. Oh God.
Okay. Oh look, you are joining us here. We are the Are You Creative podcast, and we're here again once from City Sound Radio Studio, which is in Radio City, Chelmsford, the birthplace of radio. Thank you very much, Eduardo Macaroni. And I'm here, Nick Hearn, I'm here with Sangeeta again, and we're going to do another episode. We've got a great guest, Jim Dexter here. Let's hear the funky music. And here we go. And this is what we talk about, the slap bass. Bow, bow, bow. Do you want to do the intro today? Yeah. Come on, just do a big like, oi, oi.
Oi, oi.
And then what, oi, oi, what?
Oi, oi, welcome to our podcast.
What podcast?
Are You Creative?
Yeah, and what's Are You Creative all about?
It's about finding out if you're creative.
Yeah, and because I am Nick Hearn.
You're Nick Hearn.
So-called creative expert.
So-called, I'll take
Some
that.
people may say creative god, but not me. I'm just using other people's words. Yeah, and what does a Sangeeta do?
Right, Sangeeta's learning to be a creative, or actually trying to figure out if she is a creative, because I'm being told I am. So I'm just learning about the other creatives.
Yeah, so every episode we are exposing you, not in a bad way, to a different creative.
Absolutely.
To see if it tickles your interest, if it's a little area that you'd like to investigate. And these are creatives from Essex as well, because of course Essex is the greatest county, the most creative county.
Obviously, yes.
And today we have got Jim, is that your real name, Dexter with us. And Jim Dexter, I need to ask you a question before we start. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
You can talk. Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you creative?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Conclusive evidence. Next time on Are You Creative, we'll talk to another guest.
Cool. Thanks for having me, everybody. Have a good night. Go home safe.
So, yes, we have confirmed he is creative. Not maybe so confident about his creativity. That wasn't like a godlike creativity, but definitely creative. Now, Sangeeta here you do not know Jim Dexter, do you?
I don't.
So,
no.
look, let's have a look at this geezer in front of us, right? I'm just going to describe him at a moment. He has probably got the most awesome ginger beard, a bit like Quint from Jaws. I can imagine him on a boat. I can definitely imagine you comparing scars. He's got very, very cool glasses, a cool baseball cap on. So what do you think Jim Dexter does?
Okay, so looking at Jim, I'm going to go with something to do with media, something to do
what's
Like
media?
media,
What is media?
I would say directing. I'm looking at Jim behind a camera somewhere saying, right, 1, 2, 3, shot. That's where I see you. And I could be totally off.
And we're looking at him, and you're probably thinking he looks a bit like Steven Spielberg in the 70s.
Yes.
Yeah? I'd say a mix.
Yes.
If Steven Spielberg and George Lucas had a baby in the 70s,
it
would look like Jim Dexter. Do you know what? I don't think you're too far off. Jim Dexter, what do you do?
I'm a filmmaker. Yeah.
No way.
Close, yeah. My main vocational discipline, I guess, is producing.
Oh wow.
So yeah, you're pretty close. Yeah.
I'm getting better at this.
That's amazing. But he is sitting in a chair that says director on the back of it, like a folding chair, and he's got a lens around his neck, and a script and a storyboard, and an assistant just put him a Sprite with a straw out of it and put it in his mouth, and he threw a hot coffee in their face.
No, honestly, I don't know what it is, but yeah, I just kind of saw you behind a camera.
So this is amazing. Like, this guy's a filmmaker.
Wow.
Right? What sort of films do you think a Jim Dexter might make?
Oh, I'm just seeing Jaws now that you planted Jaws.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know, what would Jaws be like?
A horror movie.
Oh, Jim Dexter makes horror movies.
No, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Are you for real?
I work with a group called the Independent Horror Society, and we work with filmmakers to see if we can get their films made, see if we can share knowledge, information, resources, and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty bang on.
Based on as a career, or
Kinda, yeah. I mean, to be honest, like left school without like very good qualifications and stuff, and kind of bounced around here and there a little bit, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Kind of got into photography a little bit, and then, you know, I'd always liked films. I would always watch like behind the scenes and stuff like that. Just never really occurred to me that like a normal person could do that as a job, because I would always just go, that looks fun.
So,
and then just never.
I love this. We've been talking about manifesting, right?
Yeah.
Now you look at this behind the scenes. I'm the same. I love those DVD extras, and how do they make that? And you know, oh my god, is there alien? The alien's just a dog with some legs like on the top of it and stuff. All that stuff amazes me.
Yeah.
Then so how do you take that and then suddenly like, right, I'm going to make that a reality. I'm going to start doing that.
Like, I kind of went a really long way around. I went to uni. I did an access course, mainly because I didn't have like a level 3 qualification or anything, so I couldn't get into uni. And then I went and studied practical filmmaking, like a practical course at uni, which was really helpful. And then got into advertising, but then I wasn't, you know, I cut my teeth on advertising and stuff.
Look, I know you want to make horror films, but that's a bit too much ketchup for the McDonald's chips. So you know, when you were making these adverts, did you keep trying to make them gory and stuff? You're like, do you know what we need?
Yeah.
we So I know the family are going to get into the car, but can the car eat them?
Sure, yeah. Like I did have those feelings. Like, you know, it was amazing kind of getting to know loads of different filmmakers, learning from them and getting all of that experience and stuff, doing really low budget shoots, tight turnarounds and stuff like that. You know, you got to make, you know, 10 grand look like 100 grand or something like that. And it got to a kind of point where I was like, I don't really feel creatively like nourished. Like I'm doing what I really wanted to do, and I worked really hard to get here, but I'm not enjoying it, and I feel kind of weird about that.
So this is in advertising, right?
Yeah.
So basically, budgets are getting smaller and smaller, and they still want it to look like the same thing again. And you're like, you've called in all the favours you can possibly call in.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, that amount of budget, you know, when you're looking at £10,000, and that sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it?
it does to for a small
but when you start
organisation,
switching cameras on and you start booking people with the sound booms in
Absolutely.
and permissions and
Honestly.
even catering, you know, like you cannot turn up with a meal deal from Tesco for the
absolutely.
clients. You know, they're going to want to get more. So
Pret at the very least.
Yeah.
Pret, exactly. Minimum, at a minimum. But they want to they will throw a hot coffee in your face.
Yeah.
They won't really, but like, you know.
I was getting a bit worried there.
Yeah,
Sounds like a horror movie already.
But I stand 20 feet away from clients at all times.
I like to have a guard, like you know, like just to look through, like a riot shield.
Yeah, but it's funny you say that. Like, there's a band called Reuben, and they've got a song called "Return of the Jedi," and one of the lyrics in that song is it's 50 grand to make a f***ing video. And I heard that when I was like 15, 16, and I was like, there's no way a music video costs 50 grand. And then when someone goes to you, because, you know, I do like work on a scale with budgets and stuff. If a client goes like, oh, you know, we've got 50, 60 grand, you go, because that is a lot of money. It is a lot of money, you know, and you think, God, I don't make that over like a couple of years. Like, Jesus.
So that's when producers start doing a little tap dance. They're like, 60 grand, yeah. We're getting Leon for lunch on this shoot.
Yeah. But then you start kind of budgeting and it starts shaking out and stuff like that. And you go, I don't know how I'm going to make this work.
Yeah.
Like,
So £60,000, right?
Yeah.
Could you make a movie for that, like with the Independent Horror Society?
100%.
100%.
Wow.
60,000.
You give me 60 grand and I'll have it crewed up and on set tomorrow. I guarantee it.
So what would be like the lowest budget you think you could actually make a feature film for?
Depends on the film and the script. Do you know what I mean? It's bodies on camera, it's bodies behind the camera. Is it a single location? Is it multiple locations? It's all about scale. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't make Jaws for 60 grand.
You couldn't, or you could?
Couldn't. No, I wouldn't think so.
What about if it was about a swan?
I'm not wrangling swans. I wouldn't even bother. No,
Swan's more dangerous than the shark, right?
100%. Yeah.
The blood shows up so well on a swan, though. Like the white feathers, the contrast is amazing.
Is the swan the villain or the victim? The swan is the...
Well, there's a whole narrative arc, actually. Someone's given the swan mouldy bread. And what happened with the mouldy bread is the swan mutated because of this. There's special streptococci on the bread.
Sure.
The swan's mutated. It's got really angry and super intelligent. So now anyone that's feeding it bread, take their arm off. but you see the blood's all over the swan. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Makes it easier to hunt.
Yeah.
You know, it can't
probably.
hide anymore.
Do you know what, mate? Let's crack a budget open. Let's get the spreadsheets out and we'll see how we go.
Yeah,
We'll give it a
I
shot.
was just trying to think of a name for it.
Beaks, like Jaws. I
Beaks.
don't know. Yeah.
Beaks.
No, but a swan has a bill.
Bills.
Bill's
Kill. Bill kill.
Bill kill.
Bills kill.
Not
No,
Kill
no, no,
Bill,
no, no,
Bill
no, just
kill.
Bill kill.
Bill kill.
Yeah, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to film it on in the pond in Chelmsford Central Park, yeah? We'll get them to switch the fountains off. I can probably arrange that. Got a viaduct in the background. That's going to look beautiful. Sunsets in the west right behind the viaduct.
Very cinematic.
Epic. Cinematic.
Production value straight away.
Okay, so how much are we looking at for shooting Bill Kill?
Shorter feature,
Feature. Oh, mate, this one needs screen time.
50 grand.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And do we have to sign away merch rights on that?
We can work something out after
Okay,
this,
we can wait because
Yeah.
people are going to want swan toys and stuff.
Naturally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. It's going to be so popular. I think, and as well, when you come into Chelmsford Station, it's going to start saying the home of Bill Kill.
Out of the way, radio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Out the way, Essex Eagles, out the way, radio. Yeah, Marconi. They'll tear his statue down and put a swan up instead.
Tell you what, Red Hawks needs to change their name to Swans.
The Swans.
Chelmsford
There you go.
yeah.
The Red Swans.
Yeah, there we go.
Exactly.
See,
Brilliant.
Merchandise, corporate partnerships. Here, we're away. This is how it's done.
This
Yeah.
is
So,
how
so
it's-
we're doing a deal here. It's all recorded, so that's official. 50 grand, Sandgator. Cancel your festival in the park because we're going to blow that 10 grand in.
Absolutely.
You're our first investor, right? 50 grand.
Yeah.
We could probably make a feature. So we're looking at a 90-minute film. So with the Indie Horror Society, that you've got a network where you can pull sort of people together. You know, people that make the films, and
Yeah.
you can crew up.
Yeah, I mean, I should say, like, just to be totally transparent, I've not made a feature, and like, I've not made a feature with, you know, the Independent Horror Society. There are people in there who have, so it's all well and good with me talking a big talk right now on the podcast, but don't hold me to it. But in theory, yeah, 100% is totally doable. There is a spectacular amount of talent just in that group alone. Even outside of that group, like horror filmmakers and filmmakers generally in the UK, just unreal. Dying to work, just desperate to get on set, get an opportunity, and they're good, really, really good. We could have the most jumping film industry in this country. We really could.
So I want to go back to your advertising. That was your journey to
Yeah.
begin with. How did that switch into a specific, I love doing horror, and
Yeah,
I'm going to stick to horror. I love this field that I'm going into.
yeah.
How did you switch?
You know, like I was saying, I wasn't really feeling that creatively fulfilled. I was at an agency a couple of years back, and I just randomly had this shoot in Southampton with a guy I'd never met before. He picked me up at like 5 a.m, the camera guy, drove down to Southampton, and on the way back, stuck in traffic, just chatting, gassing, like horror and stuff like that. And at the time, the Independent Horror Society was the London Horror Society. And he was like, "Oh, I've just made like a horror feature. Like I was the DOP on that."
DOP is Director of Photography, cameraman.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I just got to unpack
Thank
it just in
you.
case people know.
Yeah.
That's okay. Wikipedia over here. I'm gonna call myself Nickipedia, right?
Yeah.
That's
So yeah,
it.
Director of Photography. Please, continue,
Okay.
Jim Dexter.
So yeah, I was just kind of like really energized by this conversation, and I was like, "It's so cool." He's low budget stuff, and he just went out and did it. And I was like, "I'm going to get the London Horror Society like pro membership." It's like, pay a little bit. I'm not trying to plug it or anything like that, but
Plug
like,
away.
Um, But yeah, I met the founder, Chris, through that, and I kind of picked his brain a little bit. And I was like, I'm kind of in a bit of a career slump. Can I get some advice? So it turned out that the founder of the London Horror Society, Chris, was the producer on the film that this other random guy was the DOP on.
Oh, amazing.
Proper nuts.
Can you say what the
Wow.
film was?
Yeah, it's called Walking Against the Rain. Directed by Scott Lyas. He's from Chelmsford.
Oh,
Wow.
see,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. The most creative county.
It's crazy. It's like proper. It's just kind of nuts. But yeah, so I met up with him, and he was like, "You kind of just got to go for it and just do what you can and stuff." And so I was just trying to get more and more involved in the horror society. And the thing is, it's like I need to pay bills and stuff like that, obviously. And I do like my job. I don't hate it or anything. There are some days where it's harder than others, but it's kind of like I get to do this and produce stuff with money that isn't mine. So it's like, I'm not flipping with it or like loose with it or anything like that, but I get the opportunity to go on set quite often and work on projects quite often and work out how to solve these problems. that, are super, when you're working with like low budgets and stuff, that's kind of transferable into independent film because you also don't have that much resource.
And it might actually be the person on set's real money, their own money, right?
That's the thing.
And they're
exactly.
like, what are you doing there eating a Leon?
Yeah.
Right? I said Tesco meal deal.
Yeah.
Most.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And
they won't. They'll be like, they don't want to see. If there's someone on the set not working, right?
Yeah.
They're like, why have you hired a sound recordist when we're not doing sound today?
Yeah.
Right?
And it's also just like, when it's your own money, the stakes are just much higher. And there's kind of like, I feel like an internal pressure kind of, and I'm also conscious of when it is a friend's money, you don't want to screw up and stuff like that. But yeah, because I produce a lot as my job, I don't really want to do that much producing outside of work because it's like you get kind of burnt out with it, and it's like I don't want to be rubbish at work, and I also don't want to be rubbish producing outside of work because if you just rubbish all over, no one's happy. Do you know?
Yeah, you don't want to be called Jimmy Rubbish, do you?
No, exactly. But that's going to catch on now, isn't it?
Exactly. Oh no, Jim the Bin is in again.
Oh
isn't he?
no!
Who's producing? Yeah, it's Jim the Bin.
Oh,
yeah, let's
no.
get him. There's a term that I love, like that some directors I know that say one for a meal, one for your reel, right?
Okay.
So it means like what Jim's doing here. It means like let's shoot an advert or something, get some money, pay my bills and stuff, and then I'll do my one for a reel, my reel, which is like where you go and do something that's creatively fulfilling. There might not be any money in it, but you're using all the skills that you've learned and someone else paid for just to make something for fun. Basically.
Okay.
Something that's going to be creatively fulfilling. You can show people and be like, look at what I can do when I'm not constrained.
Yeah. That's it. Like that's kind of how we started our podcast and stuff like that. Like I reached out.
He's got a podcast.
Shameless plug.
Oh, look at that. He's got a podcast as well. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I kind of reached out to Chris because like there was a lot of stuff on their website that was about like writing, funding and stuff like that. Not as much stuff maybe about budgets and scheduling and kind of, doing like the boring stuff like forms and like, release forms and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, is there a way that, I can kind of contribute to that in some way? And
so this is on the Indie Horror Society website. There's resources there for any filmmakers. They could go and find out how to get funding, and they could probably actually ask questions. Is it Chris, did you say?
Yeah, Chris, yeah.
Yeah, to Chris as well. And now you've put your absolute genius production knowledge in there as well. If someone was thinking, I really want to I want to make my first like, horror short or something like that.
Yeah.
What is the first way to do it? Because you had a captive audience where you actually ended up in a car with someone on a long journey.
Yeah.
How can other people meet like-minded filmmakers or even people that might want to make their first film?
It's a case-by-case basis type thing. All depends on the resources and the people that you have around you and what you have available. But I would say you just got to take stock of what you have available to you there and then. Because there's a lot of focus on, I need this camera, I want this location, I want this and that.
I've got my phone, I've got a swan that I've tamed, and I've got a pot of fake blood.
Yeah.
Right? Can I make a film?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah?
100%. Yeah. All the stuff that we did for the 666 challenge, like social stuffs, the announcement video, I shot it on my phone. Chris and I put a bed sheet over Chris in my shed, and he was a ghost. And that was it.
Let's just back up here.
Yeah.
666 challenge.
Yeah.
Tell Sangeeta what it is.
The 666 short film challenge is over the last weekend of May, so the bank holiday weekend. Filmmakers have got 66 hours and 6 minutes to come up with an idea, write it, shoot it, edit it, and submit it.
And 66 hours and 6 minutes.
Yeah.
That is not long.
It's not long at all.
That is mad.
And how long does the film have to be?
Up to 6 minutes and 6 seconds.
Up to 6 minutes and 6 seconds.
You got to commit to the bit, innit?
And yeah, exactly. And do people usually get to that 6 minutes?
Yeah.
That is a lot of film to shoot.
Yeah.
When we had an actor on, and he said, you shoot for 10 hours for 10 seconds footage or something.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, so we kind of give them a brief. So we'll have like a narrative theme. We'll have like
What was the narrative theme this year?
Key. It could be theoretically like a key for a door. Could be a key on a map, like a legend or something like that. It could be, a kilogram. It could be, it's something that you can use as a narrative device. Like the first year was time.
Yeah.
So it's like something that because we don't want a carbon copy. We don't want to get 20 films that are all the same.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is everybody's mind works differently. So everybody is going to turn in completely different films.
So tell us, hang on, wait a second. Sorry. I shredded my voice at download, so I don't know how much talking I've got on me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's a show off. All right, yeah.
Just thought we'd plug that one in.
Yeah, actually, it was
Just the 2 sets over one weekend.
Yeah, actually, it was 8,000 people at the first show, and then 1,000 at the next. You know, but yeah,
God, was the first show that? Yeah,
it's a difficult, it's a difficult job, but
Is
someone's
that
got
all?
to do it. Yeah, it's a tough job. So if everyone chipped in £1, we still couldn't make a film. So, so Jim Dexter, how did people creatively interpret the key? What's the most batch crazy thing that people made?
We had some good ones. We got the screening at the end of July, so I can't say...
No spoilers.
I can't say anything about it at the moment because they don't even know if their films are in the screening yet.
How many entries?
I think this year we have maybe 25 or so.
That is mega.
Yeah,
That's
great.
amazing.
If you think about the fact that, like, say on average you've got like 5 people per group or something like that, like a couple of cast, couple of crew and all that kind of stuff. On average, say you got 5 people, that 25 films. I'm not good at maths, but like that's
5,632.
roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's but it's like more than 100 people getting together making films and stuff. Like,
And I bet they're all having the best laugh because, as we all know, horror films are the most fun films you could possibly ever make.
exactly. And to go back to your question earlier, like why horror? Horror is such a forgiving genre. It can be just total trash and people can love it. But if a comedy film's trash or a drama film's trash or a musical or something else, people aren't going to get behind it as much. But there's just something about horror that's like, even if, the blood's obviously fake. Obviously, that's not a real head that exploded. Obviously, that's not a real thing. People just getting up and doing it in spite of the fact that they don't have the big fancy Hollywood resources. They're doing it on their phone. They're doing whatever they have. I just love that people get up and just do it with a bottle of ketchup, with just whatever. Do you know what I mean? Because even if it's not put together well and it's not filmed very well and the acting's not that good, you're still going to watch it and go, yeah, that's sick. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it is the most creative genre?
100%.
I do as well. If you look at people, Peter Jackson, such a massive god of cinema now. He started out making really silly horror films with his friends.
Exactly.
With rubbish special effects they've made.
Yeah.
And they're still brilliant. They still hold up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Neil Blomkamp as well, people like that. Really over the top gore, homemade effects.
Sam Raimi, Evil Dead.
Yeah, Sam Raimi end up doing Spider-Man.
Yeah. John Carpenter as well. Just like pretty much any horror director, it all starts with just using what you have at your disposal and just going, okay, I'm just going to make it. Because if you go, oh, I haven't got this, I haven't got that, you're just sitting here then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
so no one's going to come along to you and go like, oh, hello, Jim, in your bedroom.
Yeah.
We heard that you've got an idea called Bill Kill, and we're just passing with a briefcase with £1 million and we'd like to invest in your film. No, you just got to go out and start doing it, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about earlier on the minimum viable product, right?
Yeah.
What can you do with what you've got? And just start doing it.
Exactly. And you build on it from there. And the thing is, you also don't want the super fancy camera, the really expensive talent, the really expensive location on your first short film. If I'd never done anything before and I'd assembled all of these people and I spent all of this money and we got to set, I would fall to bits. I would just not be able to handle it.
I'm just picturing this, right? You got Leonardo DiCaprio on set waiting for you, and he's like,
Yeah.
Okay, Jim Dexter, what's my motivation here?
Got nothing.
The swan's looking at me funny.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I don't like the way the swan's looking at me. Can we get another swan?
So that's Bill.
Yeah.
Right, and you got to kill him. Well, how hard is it, Leo?
Exactly, just get on with it. Yeah.
But yeah, you want to start small. You want to get comfortable because like those small things and those little challenges that you do, like the fundamentals are like so important. You learn so much from those bits. And if you cut something together on your phone, you go, it doesn't look quite right. You want to do that when you're by yourself on your laptop with your phone, rather than in the edit room that you're paying £1,000 a day for or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And then you can go, oh, that's where I went wrong, or that's how I should have done it. It's good to do stuff in low stakes in your own time.
So it's learning by doing and sort of failing fast as well, because And all those failures are things that you can learn from, right, and have fun with.
Every single like important thing that I've learned has come from a dramatic mistake.
You said that you left school with not too much qualifications.
Yeah.
But then you decided to go back to uni because you wanted to fulfill this part of your career.
Yeah.
How daunting was that, from going from someone who wasn't really academic, but now you needed to go into this university to do this in order to progress with your career?
Being totally honest, I was like, I want to move to London. I got no money. Maybe they'll give me a student loan and a grant and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that's what I did.
So that was quite creative.
Yeah. That's what
that
I
was really
looking at.
thinking out the box.
I mean, university in itself was a means to an end. Do you know what I mean?
But you wanted to do your course. It's not like you just took any course. Just to
it wasn't
uni.
just any course.
I mean, I did geography, right? I just took any course because all I wanted to do was go and drink beer for 3 years. And I wish I'd done something a bit more fulfilling. But the beer was great.
Well, there we go. Yeah, but I mean, like, you're not doing too bad right now, but you know what I mean? It's,
I'll tell you what, I dug my hole so deep with my debts with my geography degree. It was really hard to claw myself out and finally get a creative job. But, you just with tenacity and, doing things and finding really good collaborators and having fun.
Yeah.
And just generally having fun, because you've got to have fun, right? Everything you make is not going to be a piece of art.
Yeah.
But I think if the journey's fun on it, then people hopefully would enjoy it as well, what you make.
Exactly, that's the thing as well. And like the word journey there is so crucial because like I think it's good to like dream and think about the future and know like, oh, this is where I want to go. Also good to just be try and be grounded and figure out the steps to
how you're going to get there.
Yeah, because if you're looking way up there all the time, it's super daunting and you're like, I don't know how to get there. It's like if you're at the bottom of the stairs and you're like, I want to get to the top of the stairs, you're looking at the top of the stairs, you're not noticing the step in front of you. Do you know what I mean? You've got to take that one step and then you take the one after that and one after that, and then before you know it, you're at the top of the stairs.
Yeah, you're not going to go from 0 to Godfather 2, right?
No. Yeah, exactly. It's just doing a little bit every day and building on it. Do you know what I mean?
So would you say, if you was giving out advice to people that wanted to be a creative in this field, that actually going to uni for that time, that really helped your knowledge, that would you say that it's quite crucial? Because I know in this day and age of social media, we have social influencers and we have people that look at careers where they think that, well, I don't need to go and get an education because I could go and do this and I can learn how to cut a video on my phone.
Yeah, why not? I can do it with what I've got in my pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're that interested, you're going to teach yourself almost.
Sure.
But then I would say, would you have had the same success had you not go to uni, or do you feel that you needed to do that in order to learn those skills that year might have taught you?
I mean, I would take it on a case-by-case basis, rather, like I wouldn't generally say either way. It depends on the individual for sure, and it all depends on what you want from the course, how good that course is. For me personally, like I did learn a fair bit, but all of my learning came when I got my first job at a production company.
So the practical stuff.
Yeah. Because
were there people there at uni that you met that you've networked with and actually you've kept in contact with? Has it been useful in that way?
Maybe 2 or 3 people.
Basically, it sounds like the Indie Horror Society was much more useful.
100%.
And that was free. And you got to drink beer at the same time when you're talking about films.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So basically, don't go to university, just go to the pub. I mean, it's funny because I met Indie Horror Society at the pub as well. And they just always at the pub. That's where I think I met you, and it was like, and it was just so fun, sit down and talk and hear people having that energy and that excitement about film.
Yeah.
And also independent film and lifting other people up to do it.
I think, that's the thing. I mean, I'd even go a step further and say, if you're in uni now, quit.
I would do.
I work with young people.
Yeah,
oh my God, what
no.
message have we sent?
Message from Sagita. YouTube is your university. You don't need professors.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually being a non-academic.
Yeah.
I've never been an academic. I'm a visual learner. So teach me how to do something and show me.
Yeah.
And I will learn. So when you say that, I didn't really finish school, I can relate to that because I'm one of those. But then when you say that, but I did go to uni, I'm like, actually, what inspired you to do that? And then when I hear people come on and say, well, actually, I needed that year in order to learn a bit more about the kind of career path I want to go into.
Yeah.
And the fact that you could leave school without qualifications, then go on to uni, I think that's a really important message, because a lot of non-academics, when I work with young people, they come out of school with 0 qualifications. So they look at uni as not accessible.
Unobtainable,
but
yeah.
Absolutely not. So it's only when you get to 21 and you realise, well, actually, I don't need qualifications to go and do that course, because they'll take me on now as an adult.
Yeah.
And then some people might go into it. Hearing about what you're saying about being a non-academic,
Yeah.
then choosing how many years later that, like, you know what, I really need to go and do this course.
Yeah.
Whether it was to come out of Essex and just go to London and drink
Yeah.
some beer. But the fact is,
Sure.
you just did it. And I think that's an amazing
Yeah.
message to send out.
Yeah, it was great. Like I did have a really, really good time. I learned so much, learned a lot about myself as well. And I think it's, you know, experiences like that can be really revealing, because they can reveal what you don't want to do as much as what you do want to do. And it can be quite clarifying in a way. You kind of go, oh, it's just like kind of exploration. And yeah, it's good to work to like deadlines, meet new people. You learn how to work with people that you don't necessarily like, and you know maybe don't like you.
That is a really important skill
It
to learn in
really
life.
is.
Negotiation.
Difficult collaborations.
Yeah. And like learning to find your zen a little bit, find your cheek, bite your tongue. And it is good, especially with like a practical course, because we did have to go out and make films and stuff like that. And we had to do it to a deadline, to a brief and all that. And it's like, that's what I do now. Do you know what I mean? It's like for my career and stuff, I have to work to their brief. I can give my creative input, and we can throw ideas in and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's not my money. It's not my product.
You're always making the person who's financed its film, right?
Yeah.
So you know, you've got to make their film. You can never make it as your film, right?
Yeah. No, unfortunately.
Well, that makes kind of sense if it's their money, right?
Exactly. But people,
As a commissioner,
Sangita,
if I'm paying somebody,
you would not believe how many people forget this.
Okay.
You know, like, oh, it's my film. Don't mess with my vision. It's like, no, it's his film.
their film.
See the guy over there with the briefcase of money.
Right.
It's his film.
I have had to have it out with people before, directors who kind of just overstepped the line, and they would send notes on like a second version or something like that, and they go, I don't like this. Can we take this out? I don't feel like it's working, and blah blah blah. And then I, as a producer, the pipeline is they feed that to me. And then I kind of chat to the director and go, what do you think? And, you know, any thoughts on this? And then we would take that to the editor together, and then we'll brief them on those changes. And what this person did was went behind my back and then had a separate conversation with the editor afterwards, and then sent over the new version to the client.
Oh, naughty.
With like bits that had been left in, and like, oh no, because like, we worked really hard to get this shot, and like, I think it really works, and I think I really like it, and blah blah blah.
Do you know what happens with that?
There's a lot of eyes in there.
You're going to find a swan's head in your bed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it. Listen to the money man.
Yeah. And it didn't go down well at all. A client that he'd, you know, fairly recently joined the company, and this client had been a client of that company for years, and it's like, why are we rocking the boat with this? Like, you got to maintain those relationships.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Because they keep the lights on and they keep you paid. Yeah, you do have to learn to kind of let go of your ego a little bit and go, well, yeah, I like it, but it's got to go. It's not working. It's not hitting the brief and stuff. And it can be painful at times. I do empathize with that, because it can be like, yeah, we spent 3 hours trying to get this one shot.
Exactly, but you can't just fall in love with a shot, right?
Yeah.
If it's not right, it's not right.
And that's what it means to be creative. That's what it means to be a filmmaker, in my opinion. Like, you have to make tough decisions like that. Ultimately, they're not tough decisions. You know what I mean? We're talking about making videos.
My beautiful baby.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it's just a constant learning experience, I guess. But yeah.
Here we go. So that's just lighting the mood there.
I feel like I'm in a horror movie already.
Do you know, at Download, I did a Dolphin impression on stage.
Do it now.
That's pretty good.
That was so good. I feel
I did
like
that-
Flipper. Where's Flipper?
I did Ripper, it would be for a horror movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I did that Dolphin impression to 8,000 people, and they cheered. It was amazing. I didn't plan it. I don't know. I can't remember why we were talking about dolphins. It just happened.
We're going to have a big franchise of like Bill versus Ripper versus...
Absolutely. I think so. There's going to be a lot of crossover. It's going to be like the not like the Marvel zoological universe.
Yeah, I reckon so.
Yeah, I think we could do it. Like, yeah, it's genre films. I'm going to put you on the spot now, Jim.
Let's do it.
Jim Dexter. best bits of gore in a film ever?
Best bits of gore in a film ever.
You are the expert, right? You're the aficionado.
First thing that comes to mind is the defibrillator scene in The Thing.
Yeah, so what we're talking about, they're pumping on someone's chest.
Yeah. So have you seen The Thing?
No, but I shall go and watch
This
it.
is
now.
Really good.
This
I've
is
got
quite
3 copies on DVD. You can borrow one of them for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what I like, why Jim has picked this, it's a practical effect, and what we mean by practical effect is not CGI,
Yeah.
right? It's actually made for real,
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
and also it's kind of shonky, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the special effects lead on that was a guy called Rob Bottin, and he, funnily enough, like really hated all of the work that he'd done, and he was begging John Carpenter to light it like from behind, like silhouette it kind of, and he was like, "You're mad! I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this, and it looks sick. It's going in."
Yeah. So Sankita, someone's on the table, and there's a guy like pumping on their chest, like doing their CPR, and then the chest bursts open into teeth.
Yeah, and then his hands go through, and then the chest closes like teeth and cuts his arms off. So that's the first thing that comes
And then he comes back up, and you can't see me because this is audio podcast, but his little arm stumps away and going, oh, the blood's coming out of them.
Days. Okay.
But why I ask this is because Jim Dexter, not only being a super producer, director, podcaster and stuff, you are learning to make practical gore effects.
Trying to,
Yeah, which is fascinating. How do you get into that?
Just buy some bits and just
Buy some
just
bits.
go
Buy
for
some
it.
bits.
You heard it here
Buy a
first, listeners.
defibrillator.
Buy some bits.
Well, it's just like it's a lot of online like research and just I think a lot of it is like so like I mentioned this to you before like I'm ADHD and so I have like a lot of interests and I look at a lot of things and I go, oh, that looks like fun. Do you know what I mean? The thing is, now that I have a job, I've got like adult money, so I'm like,
You got a kid's brain and adult money.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with all creatives.
yeah. It's like, I'm 33. I'm going to buy some makeup and stuff. Let's do it.
So basically, Amazon's turned up. They've delivered to you about like 81 litres of latex and corn syrup and blood and stuff.
And then I'm there in the living room and just like trying to do that. My fiance walks in, and goes, what's happening? It's fine, darling. Don't worry.
Have you got an arm?
I'm not cutting my wrist. I promise.
No.
So your fiance says it looks like you got an arm off, and you're like, brilliant, thank you.
Yeah.
Shall I call an
yeah.
ambulance? That's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah. Like I did. So I'm like, I put myself forward for a short film where someone is like food poisoning and stuff like that. So I tried all that. I got some like glycerin and mixed that with water to create like a sweat effect. So I remember that from a film. An advert that I'd done a few years ago. And like, I'll show you guys a picture later.
I think sweat effect is underrated.
Yeah, it sells it so much.
Think about
it really does.
Bridesmaids, right? When they get the food poisoning.
Yeah,
the sweat on them makes it so funny.
Exactly. It's one of those things that like I think you see as a person, you don't even really connect to it, but you see it as a visual thing, and your brain goes, "Ew."
Yeah, so
do you know what I mean?
So sweat and tears don't look like sweat and tears on camera. You've got to make super sweat, right?
There's a thing that I found. Speaking of tears, there's a thing called a tear stick, which is where it's like a chapstick kind of thing, and you just like put a tiny little dot, like maybe like 15 millimeters or whatever below the eye, and then like 20 minutes later or whatever, you'll just have like a natural like it's like a menthol thing.
Wow.
So they got stuff for everything.
Tear stick. I mean,
Tear
this
stick.
you're hearing this like this is niche things in the horror makeup box, right?
Yeah. But this is the thing.
Can you get fake bogies? Can you get fake bogies?
Probably. I would imagine so.
We'll just use the bogey stick on your nose a bit there.
Is this your way of saying I've got a booger?
Well, I just wonder if it was safe to eat or not.
Yeah. No.
Oh, he feels a bit hungry.
He said he would give me a lift home later, so we'll sort it out in the car.
Go for dinner.
Yeah.
Little drive-through.
Yeah. You want to get the taste of that onion salsa out your mouth, like, you know.
Don't I love onions?
Yeah.
Now, onions, I will never look at onions the same.
So we've got tear stick, but I think you sent me a picture and you were making some tentacles.
Oh, some tentacles, yes.
And they looked amazing.
It's my friend Sabrina's film, and Sabrina is part of the Independent Horror Society. And I just said, hey, like, I've been thinking about doing like this, like VFX stuff, and like maybe trying to learn more about that. Is there anything I can do on your film? Because I know you're doing practical effects, like anything as like a junior or an assistant or entry level painting or whatever. Just anything where I can step out of my kind of usual bits.
Yeah. So you're making your own luck here again. You're just you're saying, hey, can I try this?
Yeah. So then I kind of like cleared out my shed and I like bought some like paintbrushes and some canvases and some oil paint, like a little set. And I was like, oh, that's fun. I quite like doing that. And then I started doing like spray painting stuff. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. I like doing that. And then I started doing screen printing stuff, and I was like, okay, that's kind of, so I just...
And then you've gone forward, like, let's turn this into the horror shed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're going to need a bigger tear stick because these effects are going to be so disgusting.
Yeah, it's more like a tear bat now. Yeah.
So basically, you're going to get your shed to the point now where people are going to call the police and be like, I think there's something going on in there.
Mate, honestly, I do worry because, like, there's times where I go in, like, all hours and stuff, and because I've got the spray painting and, like, I use, like, different chemicals for different things or whatever, I've got a full-face respirator. So I'll be coming out of my shed with a torch and a full-face respirator going, with, like, overalls on and going, and, like, taking it off and stuff like that. And I'm like, if my neighbours see me just, like, walking around with all this random chemicals and stuff like that in my shed, they're going to...
With tentacles all wrapped around your head and stuff, and a tear stick.
I'm honestly surprised I haven't been raided yet.
If I was you, I think I would constantly be pranking my fiance, right? So are you tempted to, like, create some crazy effects and see if you can fool her?
No. I love her, man. I don't want to push my luck. Like,
I would put something in. I would be putting so much stuff in the fridge. Like just like mad stuff that will jump out at her and stuff.
She is, like, fairly, like, not jumpy's not the words, but, like, she loves her horror films and stuff like that. But she will like jump and gasp and stuff. But, like, but no, I don't try my luck with that kind of stuff. No,
Sangeeta, did you ever watch any horror films?
So Evil Dead was the very first horror film I watched as a kid, and that put me off horror films for life.
Yeah, and books as well.
And books, yeah.
You haven't read a book since, have you? No, we found out about it last time.
Yeah, we did.
The Necronomicon, whatever.
Necronomicon,
yeah. Let's get.
I am one of those people that will jump, and I constantly get, you are more scary than the film. Can you stop screaming when these bits are coming on? So I've even got to a point where some films I've had to even watch with headphones. And we've done family time, and I've had to put the headphones on so I'm not hearing the doo-doo-doo-doo or the music leading up to it. So, I'm one of those. I'm like your girlfriend who will scream.
What's your favourite jump? What's made you jump out your seat the most?
Do you know what? Jaws. There were scenes of Jaws.
When the head comes out with the eye hanging out.
With the first couple of... There's bits in Jaws where I've gone... And it's
What was amazing about Jaws, like loads of that gore and loads of those shocks were for minimum viable product again. Their shark broke, so they had to show it less and they had to use music more.
They'd built it for fresh water. So, like, when they were putting it all together, they tested it in freshwater tanks.
Wow.
And then they shot in the sea and it fell to bits because it's salt water. But to be totally honest, I'm the same way, but with Chucky. I watched Chucky when I was about 12, 13 years old, and I've not seen any of them since.
Wow.
I've watched other... So I'm right there with you. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Chucky as well, that scares me. I've heard about
little
Chucky. Yeah, he is.
I'm having it.
Well, I know, I wouldn't have a doll in my room. After that and Annabelle and everything else.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, I've not watched Annabelle either. I think it is like a doll thing. I do, like... Chucky got to me in some kind of way.
Yeah.
I had the same when I was a kid because I watched the Twilight Zone movie and there's a bit where a guy pulls a rabbit out of a hat and there's a big demon rabbit. And I really hate seeing anyone go to pull anything out of the hat now. I don't think I ever fully saw what came out of the hat because in my mind it was so disgusting.
Yeah.
I should watch it, really. And just,
I think as adults.
I should get over it.
Do you know what? Should we do a triple bill one day? We'll do Evil Dead, we'll do Chucky and...
Triple Bill's the third episode of Bill Kill.
Sorry.
Bill Kill, Triple Bill. There's three of them. He turns up like Cerberus. He's got three swan heads and razor flippers. Yeah, I mean it's terrifying, that one.
Jeez.
Yeah, he's got a snake for a tail as well.
So some Greek mythological swan.
Yeah, he has got a Greek accent as well.
Oh right.
Yeah, exactly. We've got to get a Greek duck actor in to do the quacks. Because like we don't want it to be cultural appropriation.
Well, of course, yeah.
What do you think what's the most creative death in a horror film?
Oh man.
Because I'm thinking, when I'm thinking about creative deaths, I'm thinking about like Saw and stuff like that. But
does it have to be a horror film?
No.
Legit. The first thing that comes to mind is the reporter in Hot Fuzz with the steeple.
Oh, played by Adam Buxton.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Adam Buxton, the steeple.
I've heard the Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, from the church, falls on his head, squishes his whole head, but it's still sticking out his neck.
Yeah, because it's so kind of out of place in a way.
Yeah.
You go, ugh. Like,
so because sometimes it's in situation. Actually, I was watching a new series of The Boys last night.
Yeah.
And there was a death on an ice skating section, and it made me laugh so much that my wife was like, "What are you laughing about?" And I was just like, "I did not see this coming, and I'm going to rewind it, and I've got to show you because it was so fantastically gory and well cut in the tempo of the scene."
Yeah.
There was you go shit.
Oh, when they cut everyone in half on the dance floor.
Me.
Is it on the dance floor? Does everyone get cut by a wire?
That's right. Oh.
But that's really great practical effects as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
That's overkill. Overkill.
Yeah.
I love it.
That opening sequence is just like 10 out of 10.
Absolutely.
Do you know what? Someone was probably like been trying to get that signed off for many films.
Yeah.
They're like, finally, someone's going to let me do the multi-cable, 100 people totally bisected at the hip, falling off, and they'd be like, bring out the shop mannequins. We need 100 shop mannequins and a bucket of blood.
I can imagine the director stood on like the balcony going, like with like 50 extras going, more.
Can you imagine how much they all high-fived each other after that?
Once it was done.
So if anyone wants to get in touch with the Indie Horror Society, sorry, it's like the A-team, isn't it? If anyone wants to get in touch with the Indie Horror Society, how do they do it?
Indie Horror Society, independent horror society.
Oh, sorry, it's not indie. Independent Horror Society.co.uk or in a pub at Chelmsford. And then with the 666 film challenge, you're going to run that again next May?
We are.
Yeah. And how young can you enter that?
So the lead entrant, the person that signs up for it, they have to be 18 or older. So we had some people last year, we had like families doing it. One of the guys that did it with his kids, and they got like,
that's the best.
Like these little girls and stuff like that, like they wrote it themselves. He helped them film it. They did the makeup and all that kind of stuff. And we screened it at the Genesis Cinema on the big screen. And
the Genesis is an epic cinema as well. That's so cool.
Cinema. It's the best cinema.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. I used to get the film quiz there all the time.
Yeah, it's really nice. So that's where our screening is end of July, I think.
Wow,
amazing.
I want to make one of these films now. Sangeeta, should we do it next year?
I was just going to say, I'll bet you any money Nick's going to go home now to the children and go, right, everybody.
No, I'm doing it with you, Sangeeta. We're going to do the Are You Creative podcast 666 film challenge.
Oh,
do it.
Sounds
but
good.
A lot of people don't know where to start, so we make like schedule templates, budget templates, call sheets, release form templates. We make all of that available to people, all in one place, just because it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, but forget that. I just want pure chaos. Let's just get a camera and go, Sangeeta, let's make some fake blood. Let's just get out on the street and do it.
But we have
No
to encourage
swans.
best practice.
Yeah. What do you mean no swans?
We can't, no swans.
I've been training it for years. All right, look, this is the end. Well, thank you very much, Jim Dexter, for coming on. I think we've got loads more stuff to talk to you about, but we'll do that later on.
Thank you so much
when
for
the
having
mics
me.
are off.
Like, I love that you guys are doing this. I've loved all the episodes so far, and like really grateful that you guys invited me on. So thank you
That's
so much.
so good, and I love your podcast as well. As Jim gets to actually talk to some real proper legends, like Hollywood people and stuff. Not like we're staying in Essex, right? We're keeping in Essex because Essex is awesome.
I think we've had some cool people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we get some people from Bas Vegas and stuff. That's the closest.
Absolutely.
That's the closest we're going to get to Hollywood. So thank you for listening to Are You Creative Podcast. Again, thank you very much to City Sound for letting us use their space, and Paul for being fantastic, setting it all up, making the lighting look fantastic. Big up NGDA. We've got Jaden on the desk. Big up yourself, man. Always the Ragga Enforcer in the house, keeping the vibes controlled. Thank you very much to Sangeeta as well.
Thank you very much as well.
Thank you to me. Thank you to Jim. And don't forget to subscribe to our Instagram, r.u.creative.podcast. Send us any suggestions for Essex creative people you might want to hear on, or any comments or anything like that. And I think that's it. Essex County Council, pick up yourselves. Thanks for the equipment. And that's it. We're out. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.